Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Becoming Room. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because there's no pressure to take in everything, just what's meant for you. Excuse me. So, today I want to spend some time talking about the version of you that got you here. Not the version you're trying to become, not the one you see glimpses of on your best days, but the version of you lived as, the version that got you through your hardest times. This conversation matters because growth changes the way that we look at our past, right? And at some point, you really start to realize that parts of who you were don't fit anymore. That fact, that realization can be very confusing because if you're not careful, you can start to judge the version of you that was once necessary. You might cringe at their choices, wish they'd spoken up sooner, wondered why they stayed as long as they did. But honestly, here's the truth. You wouldn't be here without that version, okay? That version of you that got you here was adaptive. They learned how to read the room, how to sense danger before it arrived, how to stay small or strong, depending on what was required. So what? Maybe they became hyper independent. Maybe they became overfunctioned. Maybe they made themselves easier to love by making themselves easy to ignore, right? But none of that was random. Those were all strategies born from survival. Okay. That version of you wasn't weak, it was resourceful. And that's where it gets a little tender, you know, because when you start to grow, there's often a quiet urge to like distance yourself from who you used to be. And you might say things like, I don't recognize that person anymore, or I never do that now, or I was so different back then. And while all of that might be true, it can also just be a way of protecting yourself from the grief that comes with change. Because letting go of an old version of yourself can feel like letting go of a relationship, even when it is the right thing to do. And we have all been there. And a lot of people, because I know that it's not easy to move on, a lot of people struggle in that space because they confuse growth with rejection. They think, well, if I outgrew that person, I'm saying that that wasn't enough. Or if I choose differently now, then I'm criticizing the choices that I made then. And that is absolutely not the truth because growth doesn't invalidate the past, it contextualizes it. Think about it like this: if you get hurt and you put on a cast, do you shame the cast for coming off once the bone is healed? No. You thank it for doing its job, and then you just move differently, right? So integration is saying, I see you. Integration is saying, I honor what you carried, and I'm allowed to want more now. It's understanding that you can love who you were without living as that version of you forever. That's not betrayal. That's maturity. That's growth. And that's healing. One thing that we do as human beings, we tend to be loyal to survival, right? And when you stop being loyal to survival, life starts to feel quieter. You don't feel the need to explain yourself as much. You notice actually when your body tenses and then you actually listen. You choose to rest without feeling like you need to earn it. You start making decisions from alignment instead of fear. And yes, that can be very uncomfortable at first because there's comfort in chaos, right? And chaos gives us that familiar feeling, whereas peace can be a tad suspicious. You're usually always waiting for the other foot to drop, the other shoe to drop. So give yourself some time, sit with it, notice it, appreciate it, and honor it. So for me, honoring the version of myself that got me here meant releasing the belief that strength had to be painful. It meant realizing that I didn't have to keep proving how much I could endure. I didn't lose my strength by softening. I refined it. And honestly, that didn't happen all at once. It happened slowly in moments where I chose myself, in moments where I made decisions quietly, without announcement, and without validation. So before we end today, I want to leave you with something to sit with. What version of you are you still protecting, even though you've outgrown that role? Yeah, that's a whole lot. I'm gonna repeat it. What version of you are you still protecting, even though you've outgrown that role? Don't force an answer. You don't even have to have an answer, but just notice what comes up when you ask that question. And then be gentle with yourself when you're noticing the answers that come up for you. Thank you for being here with me in another episode of The Becoming Room. And wherever you are in your becoming, I hope that you carry this conversation with you. So until we sit together again, take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.